Diddy parties. Um, those are assault parties, and I was one of the kids that was one of the party favors. And a party favors means that you're set on top of a table and you're used as a toy for anybody who comes across the table or who wants to party at a certain time of night when the music stops and then the DJ starts flashing all these lights and they close the doors, and then everybody turns into like a frenzy and starts going into a crazed animal-like demonic state, and you have no idea what's going on. And my name is Allison Carter. Child Protective Services was involved in my... I never thought that we would see the day where Diddy would get arrested. They're ducking and hiding because everybody knows that there was children there.
People built these tunnels. There's a lot of elite celebrities. They go down there for parties underneath the Getty.
Denzel Washington, Beyonce Knowles, Ellen DeGeneres. Do you want me to keep going?
I don't want anybody's money.
Zell always told me we'd be at the parties. He said, you leave 30 minutes for the devil get there.
I'm telling you right now that something is really wrong. Really wrong.
After years of speaking out, Ally Carter finally dropped a bombshell that completely shifted the narrative around disgraced music mogul Sean Diddy Combs. In a shocking and heartbreaking revelation, Ally admitted that she was one of Diddy's concubines, unveiling a dark chapter of her life that has left the public reeling. Ally Carter's voice is not new to the conversation. She has been vocal about her trauma for an excruciatingly long time. Over the years, she has courageously spoken out about her battles with PTSD and the deep scars of suffering that have haunted her since she was just 10 years old. But no one was prepared for the devastating truth that she had been harboring all along, that as a child, she had fallen into the clutches of one of the industry's most controversial figures.
I have been drowning in my PTSD, and I know that I'm really trying, and I'm also really trying to have this backbone, and I'm really trying, okay? But I've been drowning in my PTSD. I can't sleep. When you know the truth and when you understand what we're talking about, you won't be able to sleep either. When you understand that there's a child being trafficked, brutalized, raped, tortured right now as we speak, you won't be able to sleep either. When you realize how much your government is lying to you about, everything is in your face, and some of it you've enabled, you won't be able to sleep. So, my nightmares and my flashbacks have been kicking my ass. I am going to be so blunt about that. If you have PTSD, then you understand that sometimes your PTSD will start PTSDing, and there is nothing that you can do to stop it. You're like, look, I'm good. I don't know why we're doing this right now, but it won't stop. My skin is crawling, and I'm going to be posting a video. I'm trying to post it tonight in order for y'all to catch it, because I think it's going to get blocked the second that it goes up. Maybe, I don't know. So I was going to try to post it tonight. If it's not posted tonight, it'll be posted in the morning. There are evidence drops that I've posted before, but some of you have not seen it, and some of you didn't know what you were looking at. I'm a survivor of foster care and so much more.
MK Ultra.
That has been since I was 3 months old. CPS reports were endless. CPS reports, even though they had bruises, they had proof. At one point, my surrogate was selling tapes to law enforcement from the back of her closet after she was abusing me and her other kids. You'll see a lot in the paperwork that it was evaluated out. At 4 years old was the first time I was without drugs, without anything. That's the first time I was like, oh, okay. I was locked in a room because I fought back. And then after her and her boyfriend did what they wanted to me, they put me out in the driveway in Ritchie Canyon. Nobody did anything. When it was taken to court, it was evaluated out. Um, at a very young age, I always thought, what is wrong with me? That stuff keeps happening to me. It's my fault. By 13 years old, I started to ask questions and I started to run. I started to fight back. I started to see that something wasn't right. I thought everything was normal for a very long time. Till about 13 years old, I was, after being so many times by my surrogate's boyfriends, in and out of problems. At one point, I tried to kill myself because I thought that was the only way out. I did everything because I was just like, there's no other way for me besides being somebody's puppet, punching bag, and slave. So I tried to kill myself. 14 and a half, 15. I ended up with so many CPS reports, so many suicide attempts, so much that finally, after going to Canyon Ridge Hospital for over a month, they decided to put me in foster care. When I went into foster care, I thought everything was going to be fine. We were going to be good. I was going to go to school. I would be loved. I would meet a new family and live happily ever after. No. Jumped into things. Went to so many foster homes, group homes, I lost count. Never stayed anywhere longer than 2 to 3 weeks. Never stayed anywhere longer than a month. Attended 19 high schools in 1 year in the time that I was in foster care.
In previous interviews, Allie has openly shared the story of how she became a survivor, recounting the first time her childhood was ripped away from her. "I was just a girl," she said, her voice trembling with the weight of her memories. "I was too young to even understand what was happening, but I knew it wasn't right." Her story has always been one of resilience, but this new chapter paints a harrowing picture of just how deep the wounds go.
One time he locked me in containers with his shipment of kids. There were kids in there that didn't speak English. There were kids that were sick and that were already... There were babies. There were babies that were 6 years old, and I'll never forget them just crying, and everybody was just staring at them. Everybody was just staring at each other. Nobody knew whether or not to move. I was freaked out. And I got up and I held her. And they opened the truck and they took her from me. Because they said she was already sick. And they killed her. Her name was Bailey. There are kids in there from Africa, from Mexico. We got to this spot right over the border. They went past these colorful houses. They turned down these dirt roads, and there was a bunch of trucks. And they divvied everybody out like retail. One person, she wouldn't stop crying, so they said that they would just send her off to somebody who was already sick, that had AIDS, that was gonna die soon, because she wouldn't shut up. My pimp smiled at me that whole time because I straightened up my attitude. I begged for him to take me back. I begged for him to keep me. And I promised that I wouldn't tell the social workers again. I promised that I wouldn't say anything if he just took me with him, if I could go home. And he did. me still being stupid, I tried to tell my social workers. I tried to tell them my boyfriend is 27 years old. He takes me to elite parties. He takes me to these things that I don't want to go to. And can you please help me? And they just documented him as a boyfriend. My social worker told me that maybe I needed to just talk to him. Maybe if I just did something right, or if not, just break up with him, that it would be okay. Eventually, after going to elite orgies in Simi Valley, California, escort services, we got married. He proposed to me on a boat one night. And I was so angry because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to deal with that. I was 15 years old, and I knew my adopted mom now. I knew her, and I was telling her I have a husband. And I didn't know what that meant. I just knew that he's not gonna kill me. So I'm married. And I was okay with that.
Clearly, Ali is very hurt. This person commented, she's so traumatized. Another person writes, I seriously pray for your safety. And when you see some of these videos where she's getting tearful and talking about this, you can't help but to believe what she's saying, because how could she be so emotional?
We have always said it is about children. It's not just about me. Never just made it about me. I'm just the loudest one. Telling you right now, a lot of people don't want to get it. There's enough of you to do something, anything. Something happens to us after we get off this live. In the meantime, I want you to know I have dropped paperwork, documents, information
Our eyes do look so sad.
off with everybody around the world. I'm telling all of you insurance holders that are watching this right now, we are dead. There is no point for you to sit on that information. Do you hear? No point. Please, I beg you, please let everything out unredacted. As of right now, I've kept everything redacted. I've been letting stuff out slowly.
The reality of a young girl being ensnared by Diddy, a man whose public persona has long been a mix of power, wealth, and notoriety, is nothing short of unimaginable. In a separate interview, Ali peeled back the curtain on the evil side of Hollywood. She described an industry shrouded in secrecy and built on silencing the voices of the most vulnerable. According to her, no matter how many times she reached out to Child Protective Services, her pleas fell on deaf ears. They never believed me, she recounted through tears. They always said I was just a troubled kid, making up stories. But I was telling the truth all along.
We did a live interview with Maria Z. We went viral in 2020. We tried to do a case against Riverside County Child Protective Services because Riverside County, do you hear me? Riverside County Child Protective Services was involved in my accident. I told you guys in that Maria Z interview in 2021 that no one tells on Diddy. P. Diddy. All right? Just the same way nobody tells on Denzel Washington. People don't usually talk and stop and think about the children victims that are going through things right now as we speak, and the ones who suffered through all this. I decided to stop for a second and do some projects with projects all around, because we just said, you know what? This is our life. It's not changing. We stopped somewhere, and I've been hiding. My mom and I have been hiding. We've had our head down. We've tried to back up. We've tried to tell you everything that we can, and now we have people messaging us, investigators, people that want to talk now, when now it's because it's trending. We're still not on the subject of the kids. All the adults are covering their asses. All the adults are, I left at a certain time, yet you knew children were there. You knew these parties were not okay in the party. And one of those children were me. Now, those who are trying to come at us now, talking like, oh, well, now the Diddy's out, now that you can talk. For why? Because we tried to have a case with Child Protective Services. We gave them 8 months worth of evidence. 8 months worth of evidence. That didn't even do a crumb. They took that case and they hid it. If you are a survivor and if you are a real victim, be careful. Because these hotline numbers that they're putting out, I don't trust them. I wouldn't do it.
They take your information to see what you have.
They're taking
and
inventory.
then they shut it down. They're taking inventory. So don't trust them. Don't trust the Fed. You're all guilty. You're all corrupt. Any attorney that's taking money to defend Diddy, you're nasty and vile.
That's blood money.
That's blood money.
That's all blood money. You do know that, right? Whether you take money for him to shut up, whether you take money from him for period, that's blood money. I don't want anybody's money. You see all the people running? They're ducking and hiding because everybody knows that there is children there. But we're still not talking about the kids yet. When are we going to talk about the kids? Everybody's demanding something from the victims. Why aren't you demanding it from the news? You know he's about to turn into another Epstein, and then the list follows and it circles back into a web. So why isn't anybody demanding any information on the kids? Huh?
Where'd that supply chain come from?
Do you think that thousands of bottles worth of baby oil was for thousands of who? $65,000 worth of hot dogs and pizza was for who? Over the border was for who? Child Protective Services is your supplier. Is anybody going to talk about that? The immigrants that are coming across the border, that all those kids that they were just scooping up out of boats and out of the water, they're now coming in and they're throwing them right into the system. Aurora, Colorado, Springfield, Ohio. Where do you think all those kids are going? This ain't about an election anymore. Y'all know that, right? The election is canceled. Because everybody that you love, you don't live in the world you think you do. Everybody that you think is not guilty is about to show you who they really are. I've been screaming for years. We were followed the night that Diddy was arrested. I left a place that I was in, minding my own business, finally trying to stop for a second and get my life back. And you know what? I'm not even upset about that. I'm upset about the fact that I have to walk back into this place and I have to tell you all goodbye. So if you know who I am and you know me as Justice, you know I'm about to walk into this building and tell you I gotta go. Nobody ever thinks about the victims. Nobody. The victims' lives get turned around when the predators' lives want to just get announced. We're not talking about the victims that are still going through the shit right now with other people who are running to cover their ass and deleting their social media. Why are you running? Our PTSD lives on every damn day that they did what they did. But it's only talked about when it's trending. We got legal evidence to drop. But I told you, nobody tells on Diddy. Maria Z, I did that interview in 2021, 7 months ago. We made sure, I already knew. We went and made sure there were sworn documents. We have them. When we went to Colorado for the A to Z event, we had a lot of legal evidence that we made sure we already had because we knew a list of people were about to get got. You can't run for that long. I'm just shocked we're finally seeing the day. So thank you so much for listening. We gotta go and tie up some things and then we'll be back.
Her breaking point came when, after years of struggle, it felt like all her efforts were in vain. She fought so hard and even spoke out when no one else would. And yet, nothing changed. But now, with Diddy behind bars, a new chapter begins. Not just for Ali, but for the countless survivors who never got their chance to speak up.
Today's been a lot. I'm so happy there's so many of you around the world. That's huge to have. Can I ask you guys something? Have you ever had, can you screen record this, by the way? I just want to talk to you for a second, and then Telegram is gonna start going. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm so tired. I think I'm going to legit climb into the back of this car or something and lay down for a minute. I'm just tired.
Not like so much tired physically, but just tired. I'm tired of the bullshit. I'm tired of the lies. Tired of the secrets. Tired of being a secret. I'm tired of keeping secrets. I don't think you guys understand. Sometimes you guys don't understand. It's a lot on a person. And I know that a lot of you don't understand that. If you've never been through something traumatic, you think, you know what? Let's just spit it out. Let's just do it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off. It can't get any worse. It can. It can. But we are not. There will be no car accidents. There will be no accidental fires. There will be no overdoses. There will be no accidental accidents. We're tired, but in a different way. And I think reliving everything is exhausting. It feels like we're back again. So that's really tiring. In more ways than one. I don't want my enemies to think just because I'm crying there's something wrong. I don't want you to think that. I want you to know I'm tired of your shit. A lot. Everything is soul-sucking and exhausting in a way that a lot of people don't understand. Have you ever had a narcissist in your life? In a way that no matter what they do, they can never be wrong. You know what I'm saying? If something happened to you and it happened from a narcissist, it's never their fault. They will never take accountability. They will never take responsibility. Their ego will never let them know that they did something wrong. They will never be able to admit to their own doing. Even if you said, hey, my part in this and what I did wrong is this. But you tore me up in a way that I can't explain. You know those people in your life? I know a lot of people have one where if they did something to you and you say something later, it's still your fault. It's still never going to be their responsibility. They will never admit to the things that they're wrong. They will never take a responsibility. They will never say, I did this and yes, this is my part. No, it's yours. Narcissist. Not just narcissist, but egotistical, selfish people that a lot of the times have been hurt themselves, but because they were so hurt, they could never admit to something that's wrong. Do you have a family member like that? Those family members that nothing that they did, even if you took years to say something about it, nothing they did could ever be wrong. It's your fault. If you came out of it, it helped build your character. There's nothing wrong. You said my mom, my mother, definitely understand. Yes, unfortunately. A lot of you understand that, right? Whether it's a baby daddy, whether it's a family member, whether it's a family member that did you dirty, whether it's a mother, a father, they could never admit to that. No, it's your fault. And if you start to tell them what they did wrong, they will always point it back to you. Because now you can't be telling on them. You can't say anything about them. It's the same thing with the Diddy parties.
Allie's journey from victim to survivor to advocate is nothing short of extraordinary. She now dedicates herself to praying for all the children who have endured similar horrors. Her mission is clear: to encourage others to find their voice and to implore society to open its eyes to the devastating realities faced by countless young souls. Her story is a reminder that behind every scandal, behind every headline, there are real lives impacted. And while justice may finally be catching up to Diddy, Ally Carter's bravery is the real story here. The story of a woman who refused to stay silent, even when the world turned a blind eye.
I don't care. I really don't care, but I'm being smart about some things because my case was not a case that just had me on it. There were other minors on the case. So there's some things that are redacted. Now, I've kept things redacted because if I unredact them, there's going to be an issue, and some people don't deserve that attention. However, they do deserve some questions to be asked and answered. How the hell did this happen? Where were you? What were you doing when your child was missing? Did you know that your child was being trafficked? How many times did CPS get called? Why were they getting called? Is the hospital for criminally insane something that, if you've been there, should you really have kids? Was I missing from Child Protective Services custody for a year straight? Where the hell was everybody? And then if I'm 30 now, where was everybody before? So many questions, right? But none are answered. However, I know there's no justice for me. Whole point of this video, say it with me, is the children. Every time people get distracted, put them back towards the who? The children. When we are talking about cases beyond cases, elite and parties, assaults and the things that are going on in the news, we are not talking about just adults. We are talking about children. Quiet on the Set. That documentary that they did. They did that documentary, but you notice they stayed away from certain words like they stayed away from certain words like ultra. They stayed away from certain words to make sure that they walked y'all up to that door, but they didn't knock on it. They walked you guys up to the door, but they didn't tell you the God honest truth. They made sure that you were cushioned enough to say, oh, maybe they're not complicit. They are. You should be demanding answers from all the celebrities that are quiet. Answers your question of who's involved with the Diddy client list. It answers your question of who is involved with the Ghislaine Maxwell list. It answers your question of who's on those flight logs. It answers your question of who's been on those islands. Where did those children come from? People still are not asking. Where did those children come from? People are still not checking Child Protective Services custody. Did you get an Amber Alert for them? No. Did anybody question that neighbor of Diddy's? He said there were buses coming at 3 a.m. Did anybody ask what kind of buses? Who was driving the bus? Where did that bus go? How many kids was on that bus? Why didn't anybody say anything? If you went to a Diddy party, why the hell are you protecting the predators that weren't protecting a child? How many times does it need to be in your face? Do you understand what's going on with children? You want to know who needs reparations? Foster kids. That's who needs some reparations. Foster kids. When you understand how evil the foster system is, the streets should be packed. I'm waiting on the day we wake up and the streets are full. I'll be out there with you. I'll be out there with you. I'm not inciting any violence, but I will be out there with you. We, not we, we will be out there with you. Some people are going to get so upset with the next drop. Some people are going to be a little stunned with the next arrest. It's coming. Again, there will be no accidental fires, no car accidents, no accidental car accidents. We are not carrying anything in this car that cannot be accounted for. We are not carrying any weapons. We are not homicidal. We know that God has got to do what he needs to do. The vengeance is not ours, it's the Lord's. I'm not a celebrity. My pain is not a billboard. And who wants to be the face of... We're not talking about... I'm not an influencer. This does not influence you to do makeup. Okay? This is the truth. Nobody should have to influence you to be influenced. You shouldn't need an influencer to be influenced, to get up off your ass and do what is right, because it could be somebody that you love. That's it, and that's all. we fighting in a different way. There's mounds of evidence, and I don't trust people right now because I've already tried. We've been there. We've been screaming for I don't know how long, since we were a baby, and then 4 or 5 years ago we started screaming on here.
So what do you think? Is this just the beginning of more dark secrets unraveling? Or has Ally Carter finally brought the truth to light once and for all? Let us know in the comments below. And if you like this video, hit that subscribe button so that you never miss out on any new videos. Until then, fam, keep it real.